In 1992, the Empire Sports Network expanded its coverage area and reached audiences outside its Buffalo fan base for the first time. With its expansion into the Rochester market, the network debuted a show that incorporated media guests from around the state. Pros and Cons, a sports roundtable show, hit the airwaves for the first time.
Like so many shows on Empire, Pros and Cons started from the seed of an idea of John Regas, who loved a show that he had seen out of Pittsburgh with a couple of reporters talking to each other. But in fact, as much as he would kind of refer to that, he would always go back to a show that was done locally in Buffalo with a number of reporters from the Channel 4 CBS affiliate. Back in the, it had to be 60s, 70s, they had Chuck Healy, Dick Reifenberg, Stan Barron, and Van Miller. And he wanted to do, he would always throw these ideas in kind of a hodgepodge and say, what could we do like that? So I started to think about what would be similar, what could we do with the talent we had at the time. And since we really didn't have anyone that worked here on air other than myself, and I was already doing, I think, 4 shows that week, we decided we recruited Art Wander, who was then working on WGR Radio, Larry Felser, who of course wrote for the Buffalo News and also was doing some appearances on the Empire Sports Network from time to time. And then we recruited Ed Kilgore from the NBC affiliate WGRZ, and we thought that was a nice cross-section of television, radio, and newspaper. And then the idea was to invite a 4th guest every week from the world of sports, media, whatever, to complement the group.
We decided to do a show that was based on what the media was talking about and the big sports that the media would be covering during the week. And we also wanted to bring in reporters from Rochester and from Syracuse to not only get their audiences involved, but to get their media involved so they would know what Empire is as Empire was debuting in these towns. So the theory for Pros and Cons was an opinionated show that the viewers would like because they could either agree or disagree with what the people were saying on the show, and also to have Rochester and Syracuse be involved.
The show premise was a simple one: lock 3 rather spirited hosts and a media guest in a room with a table and let the sparks fly.
First segment was whatever was the hottest topic going on that week. Could have been the Sabres, could have been Syracuse football. And based on whatever the hottest topic was during the week, we try and get guests in based on that topic. Second segment was a free-for-all. We could talk about anything that was going on or anything that they wanted to bring up. Third segment was always the most opinionated segment because each one of the main hosts of the show, Ed Kilgore, Larry Felser, and Art Wander, got to do a pro and con, either boosting somebody or tearing down somebody based on what they did during the week.
From the original brainstorming session on, it was clear the show's host would make or break the idea. So careful thought was given to who would serve on the show's panel.
We picked Art Wander because we knew Art very well. Art had been doing some shows for us. He'd done Fan Forum, he'd done Sports Fire, so we had a relationship with Art. And Art was extremely opinionated, which was critical to the show. We picked Larry Felser because he was very well known and respected. Had done like long-time columns, so he also was very opinionated and good for that type of show. And Ed, we chose Ed because Ed had approached us, was interested in doing some things with Empire. We felt that Ed, who was also very opinionated and had a schedule that he could work into it. We had talked to Van Miller. Van had some things going on where he felt like he couldn't make that kind of commitment. And so Ed was kind of a natural choice.
The way they interacted with each other, to me, that was my favorite part of the show because they're 3 distinct personalities. Ed is more of the team line person. You know, he'd rarely disagree with what the teams were doing. Art was completely against the teams. You know, the Sabres or the Bills could never do right in his eyes. And Larry always took it from a fan's point of view.
With a free-for-all sports talk format, it wasn't very hard to talk the 3 into doing the show.
Bob came to me and said, basically, do you want to sit around with like Art Wander and Larry Felser, and then we'll have a guest, and just talk about sports for like an hour and get paid for it? Does that sound like a good idea? I said, okay, what's the catch? I mean, there has to be a catch. But no, he was serious, and it's the best gig I think I've ever had.
Was at Van Miller's testimonial. It was a roast at the Erie County Fairgrounds auditorium. And Bob Kaczynski came up to me after the dinner had finished and asked me if I'd be interested in appearing on the show. And he gave me the outline, and I jumped at the chance.